impact like any kind of lab readings that you do, but they're for the patient because kidney disease is hard. Life is again, there are some tests, but they are hormone tests, cortisol tests.
There you
And so
go.
I'm like, is that really going to tell us if we've
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I am naturopath Fiona Chin, co-founder of Kidney Coach and Genesis, a range of supplements we've put together to support those diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, whether you're looking to lower your creatinine levels or bump up your eGFR. We have supplements that can help support you. And I am joined again today by the amazing, talented, wonderful, intelligent, beautiful, stunning Lindsey Zirker. I have not enough verbs, acronyms. I have no idea what the correct point is here, Linz, to reintroduce Lindsey. Lindsey is a renal dietitian who works with Jessiana Seville at the renal dietitian course. No, that's not where you work, at Kidney Nutritional Institute. It's because we were just talking about dialysis and I've gone sideways. Lindsey is a renal dietitian with a huge, extensive background in dialysis. She worked. So let's start, for anyone listening, what is aldosterone as a basic big level, and then we'll dive into its relationship to kidney disease. But yeah, tell me all things aldosterone.
Yes, so aldosterone is a hormone that is produced in the adrenal cortex. Um, and a lot of times, like hormones, um, we always think of them as messengers, which is true for a lot of things, but they also kind of are more encompassing than that. So a lot of times you'll hear about hormones being produced one place, but then they actually act in another place. So that's why the messenger idea um, comes into play, because where it acts is in the renal tubules. And the renal tubules is where the body is, where the kidneys are either reabsorbing sodium or water or potassium or excreting it, like, or deciding to get rid of it. And so aldosterone, that is its job, is kind of controlling that. So maybe with blood pressure control, you guys have heard of the renin-angiotensin aldosterone system. So aldosterone is a part of that. And I think when we talk about renin and angiotensin, we'll kind of go more in depth of what that whole system is. Um, but aldosterone is a key hormone for blood pressure control. And its job is to recognize um, when you don't have enough blood pressure, and then it is going to help raise your blood pressure.
So let's say you've had someone, they're classically displaying symptoms of, let's say, high aldosterone, because that's going to be our more common picture in kidney disease. You've done like 4 labs, same time of day, and you're like, yes, consistently high aldosterone, but they've got kidney disease and everything else going on. Are you going in and thinking, I need to do an intervention around driving down aldosterone? Or are you thinking, I'll treat XYZ and aldosterone should come down as a side effect? How do you tackle this when it comes to supporting the person have a good outcome when it comes to aldosterone?
Yeah. So one of the things that we were talking about before we got on is that like treatments for hormones are challenging just because there are a lot of things that are going to not only impact like any kind of lab readings that you do, but they're gonna just be impacted. So I'm looking at my notes here. So big things that impact hormone levels: stress, physical or emotional, circadian and diurnal rhythm changes. So think, why does everyone hate time change like daylight savings? Because it super messes up your hormones.
Yeah.
Um, Macro and micronutrient deficiencies. So like higher carb versus lower carb, higher protein versus lower like fat, like all those things are going to be impacted. Um, and vitamin and mineral deficiencies, and medications that can contribute to that. Like think about like there's so many of our hormones that rely on cholesterol. And if you're on a statin, what is that doing to your hormone balance? Like people who are on statins aren't regularly getting they're not even getting any baseline hormone things so that they have anything to compare to. And I think that seems weird. Like, why don't we want to know that?
Yeah.
And the other thing is toxins. Um, so I feel like a lot of times with almost any interventions I do, I want to find the low-hanging fruit.
Mm.
What is going to be the simplest change that we can make that is going to have the biggest impact for the patient? Because kidney disease is hard, life is insane, and behavior change is hard. So, what can we do to make things like the easiest? And so, um, I like to first look at what are basic opportunities for hormone balance that we've discovered in the assessment or any type of testing. And so let's say for someone who has higher aldosterone levels, um, a lot of times it is upregulated because the RAS system is upregulated. So a lot of that upregulation, actually, when I was digging in, so much is related to inflammation. And so it's like, well, are there opportunities for targeting obvious inflammatory situations? Um, and looking at emotional stress because we all have
Fancy.
it.
Yeah.
So again, and this is something I actually found myself, I was puzzling over this weekend. I'm like, okay, so we know stress is a problem. We know it's not going away. But how do we know when we've kind of got our bodies to a point where we're more or less regulating it better, where it's
Mhm.
not a major hang up for like every issue in our body? And again, there are some tests, but they are hormone tests, cortisol tests.
There you
And so
go.
I'm like, is that really going to tell us if we've learned how to better emotionally respond to this? I don't know. So I feel like that's a question that sometimes only ourselves can answer because you'll have to probably think about what kind of things like make me lose my jazz for no reason. Do I still respond that way? Or like, what kind of things cause me anxiety? Do they still cause that? Like, you're gonna have to think about all those kind of things. Maybe other people have a better answer, but I think that's something that would be really nice for us to figure out.
Mm.
Um, and I think too, with regards to emotional stress, we really burn through B vitamins when we are stressed out. And
Yeah.
so that kind of goes back to those deficiencies. So a lot of times I feel like treating hormones, many times you can come at it sideways and be effective, or at least you can kind of clear the field because, like we mentioned before, with stress, with toxin exposure, with being undernourished, it's not going to be clear if you have a genuine hormone problem. If it's just because that's a part of your kidney disease, or if there's something else going on. And so I feel like targeting those kind of three areas is something we can do. And like I mentioned before, for high aldosterone, if you're looking at it, you're going, wow, nitric oxide is checking a lot of boxes for this person, then that could be a good option for them.
Well, if you would like your, after all of that, your aldosterone checked, or even if you would just like to work with a curious, I like the word curiosity because we spoke about that last time, but a curious renal dietitian who won't just make you go on a low potassium diet and cut salt out and do all those boring things, who actually will dig into what's going on, then you can head over to kidneynutritionalinstitute.org. So make sure you hit subscribe and like. That way you'll get notified when we put up new podcasts. If you want to know more about what we do, head to www.kidneycoach.com. There is a new website being launched the end of June, mid-June, end of May, somewhere in there somewhere. So look out for that. And you'll find us on all social media platforms under the same thing. Lindsey, thank you for your time, your genius, and your curiosity. You are always greatly appreciated.